person. I'm Damian Gates. I'm from the finance department. I'm a junior analyst. Today I'll be walking you through how to submit your expenses through Concur Solutions. Okay, first what we are going to do is we are going to log into Concur and you will see a screen similar to this one right in front of you. You will click on the expense tab, which will bring you to manage my expenses. From that, you will have to add your expenses. You will need to save all of your receipts. JPEGs, PDFs of your receipts are fine. Even screenshots work as well. To create a new report, you click Create New Report. You entitle it the report name. I will call mine December expenses. Some of these expenses will be from earlier than December, but for training purposes, we will say December. The report date will be the day that you created the report, and your expense start date will be based on your earliest expense that you're going to submit, and your expense end date will be the latest expense that you will submit. So we will talk about that later on if we have any issues with submitting the report. You must any field that has red must be filled in order to go to the next step here. This is where you will add a new expense based on the receipts you have. So my first expense will be hotel stay. So you click on, for it says expense type, you will click on new expense. You will click on hotel. We will grab our receipt. We'll attach a receipt, which I will bring over. And attach. We'll be able to see our receipt image. Transaction date will be listed on the receipt. And ours is September 17th, 2016. Okay, for hotels, you will need to itemize the amount. So the hotel stay came out to 6,713 shekels and 5 cents. Okay. So now we will need to itemize this expense because hotel stay will need to be shown how much it was per night. Now we're going to use our receipt to find out, to use our check-in date along with when we checked out. So I was there from the 9th, from the 17th of September to the 22nd. So now I will give my nightly lodging expenses. So I checked in on the 17th of September and I checked out on the 22nd. 5 nights. We'll look at our hotel receipt for the room rate. All the information will be on the receipt. Okay. Once you have figured out, once you have implemented, once you have inputted all of your information that's in the red, you can click Save Itemizations. Now that we've entered our itemizations, you will see the breakdown of each night, how much it was per night, and that expense is complete. In some instances, managers may require employees to allocate expenses to different call centers. How to do that is you would click on the expense and click Add Itemization. Actually, excuse me, cancel that. You don't want to click Add Itemization. You click one of the already itemized entries and allocate it. So you'll click Allocate, and it will bring you to this screen, and this will always have the call center associated with your employee ID and what department you sit in. Currently, I sit in finance, accounting, so that's where this is. If I needed to allocate this to a different entity, I could, but that's all at the direction of your manager. Right now, I'm going to keep it allocated where it is and press Save. Done. So now we're going to add a new expense. Our next expense will be business meal with attendees. This is an important one, especially for our oncoming managers who will hopefully be taking their employees out for a lot of lunches. And maybe me, because this video would be so helpful. First, you click business meal with attendees, and we're going to enter the vendor. First, what we're going to do is we're going to attach our receipt. So we'll browse the desktop, grab business meals with attendees. This receipt is for our Pizza Fridays, which everyone loves here in New York. All right, so now we're going to check our receipt for the transaction date. It's very important for the transaction date to be accurate when submitting a report, because Concur will kick it back. So this receipt is from 9/9/16. So we'll go back here and we'll put the transaction date of September 9th, 2016. The city of purchase will be New York City. Our vendor name is at the top of our receipt. And the total amount was, be sure to put the total amount, which is $471. Not just include, you can include the tip and tax as well. Okay. When you enter business meals with attendees, you'll need to enter who attended the meal with you. So I'm going to add new attendee, business guests, employees. So I'm going to okay. You can add as many employees or business partners to the meals with attendees as possible. As many as were there. Obviously, if there's a large amount of people, you'll add just the bulk of it, the bulk of the people who come. Okay. And we're going to save. So if you see, the bottom automatically itemizes the receipt based off the total by how much each person's portion of the bill. So now we save that part, and that's been added to our expense report. We are going to do we're going to do another one, and that's going to be our taxi expense. This is frequent for those of us who work a little later than normal, especially me. All right, so first we're going to upload our receipt as we did in the other examples. Once we have attached our receipt, we will look at it to get all the information we need. Oh, this actually turns out to be a dinner receipt. So now this is perfect because it'll show you how you can correct this. So now you just change the expense type to dinner. And we're still on track. So don't be worried if you upload the wrong receipt by accident. There's always a way to edit it and get you right back where you need to be. So we had dinner. I had dinner on May 15th at TGIF's, my fave. The amount of our bill was $25.47. And we're going to save that one. Notice at the top you will see these exclamation mark, yellow exclamation mark saying that the transaction date is greater than 60 days. Our T&E policy states that employees are to submit their expenses in a timely fashion every 30 days. So please keep in mind of that and submit your expenses on time so that they are processed and paid out in a timely fashion. We pay our expenses weekly, so every Friday they are processed and you usually receive your payment by Wednesday of the following week. It takes 3 business days for the wire to fully complete. This is only for our US and EMEA employees. Israel and APAC are paid monthly. Now we've got one more expense, and this is our taxi expense. So we'll show you how to input the taxi expense and submit our form. Now we're going to attach our receipt as we did in the previous entries. So I had the receipt saved wrong. I had dinner saved as taxi, taxi saved as dinner. It happens. Okay, we're going to check our receipt for details. So this is a taxi where I took a taxi in Reading. So, and this happened on 9/15/2015. This is going to actually help me show you what happens when you have submission issues. So let's put in the expense, and then we'll try to submit the report. The vendor's name is Station Taxis. Okay. Now we are going to change our transaction date to 2015 September. Okay. And we're going to select the 15th. Alrighty. Notice how the exchange rate changes based on the date of the transaction. So Concur is cool like that, where it will give you the exchange rate of the date of the transaction. So whatever the exchange rate was that day that you made your transaction will be what you get back in USD, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll save that. Now we've got all of our expenses in, but I noticed something here at the bottom. We have these red flags. Red flags will always deter you from being able to submit your expense report. The transaction date is greater than 60 days and require finance and CFO per diem exception. This just means that this will have to go through an extra approval to make sure that managers higher up will approve your expenses. In terms of this taxi, if you recall, when I entered the report header information, I included that my expenses would be from January 2016 to December 2016. Our taxi expense falls in the year of 2015, which will which will make it very hard. Will make it impossible to submit this report. So what you will have to do is go to details, click report header, and change your expense start date from January of 2015 to the 1st of September in 2015, and click save. Now, if you notice that red marker has gone away. Now we can submit our report. Yes, we're ready to submit the report. Now, this report cannot be submitted. The expense report contains at least one itemized expense. The sum of the itemizations does not match the expense total. Edit the itemized entries to make the required changes before submitting the report. Okay, so now we're unable to submit the report. We will need to change the itemizations to make sure that it matches how much we've spent. In order to do that, we will need to put in our lodging expenses. So I didn't put in our room tax. So let's take a look at our receipt. It appears we have some other items on here that we missed, like bar 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 privileges and diet colas, things like that. So we have to add those just to make the itemization complete. So our total is, we're missing about 700 or so USD. We still need to itemize about $1,100 worth of expenses. So all we're going to do is we're going to go back to nightly lodging. This is the room rate. So based on what we have here, what we're going to do is we are going to, quick and easy way is to just divide the total amount by the nights that you were there. That gives us save. Okay. Now we should be able to submit our report. Okay. Our dinner. So now The transaction date is greater than 60 days and will require the CFO per diem approval. Okay, so in an instance like this, in the comments, I'm going to put overtime. You put in a comment just to give whoever's going to be approving it a little background information. The reason why we're having trouble submitting is because I believe you only have $20 worth of expenses. The only $20 worth, you can only expense up to $20 for dinner. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to itemize this as well. Okay. You click 547. You will enter 547, the remaining amount, and that's a personal expense that will not be reimbursed. This will give you all that's needed to make oh, all right, I had to stop it. Jesus. Okay. What the hell? I don't think we got it. I think we have to do it without the dinner one because this for some reason is not allowing me to input the dinner.
How come?
I'm not sure. It's saying that the transaction is greater than 60 days and will require the CFO per diem exception.
How much was it?
It's $25.
But we're supposed to have up to $50 for dinner, right?
Is it?
Yeah. It's 15 for breakfast, 25 for lunch, 50 for dinner.
All right, that was stressful. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Okay. Jeez, that was so good. That
Well,
was
we
so
can
good.
splice 2 videos together.
Could we?
Yeah.
Okay.
That Creative will have to do, but I'm sure it won't be too difficult. They'll just stick it together in one
I don't want
video.
them to hate. I don't want them to get upset. Is this
No,
gonna
it's
put
more
a
like if they have to go in, if you did like 30 takes and you were like, well, I like this part from this one and this part.
Yeah.
Like splicing 2 videos together, I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, cool. All right, so I have the first part. It's just that we have
I have
dinner.
other receipts for dinner.
I just don't. I think it's this profile because there's no like approvers or anything like that. So I don't know if it'll actually let me. Actually, I don't know if it'll actually let me submit this report. Let's see. Oh, I did this gonna help me.
Fuck.
I'm sorry, Heather.
It's okay. What's going on?
I had to get. So I was in the. I was in our admin. All right. So now I have to go in to this test environment as someone else. How much more time do we have with this meeting?
Half an hour.
Okay, I think we can bang this out.
I have
It's okay if you need
nothing
to.
until I have to prepare for something starting at 12:30.
That's fine. If I'm not done by then, I'll just get through it as much as I can, and then, well, I mean, I'll finish it, and then you can tell me if it's shit or not, and I'll do it over.
Okay, I'm sure it's not shit. Let's see.
Hello, Mustafa.
No. Oh no. It's annoying. Are there any non-stop flights? Ew.
Let's see. Let me try. I can do this dinner one before.
That's so crappy.
Are you looking for garbage?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I just thought if there was one here, I would just throw it away. Okay, let's see. What is I about to do? Oh, thank you. Have you ever flown out of that Long Island airport, ISP?
No. Yeah, I don't think I can do the dinner one on here. This is so weird.
Maybe if you just talk about, we cut out the dinner part where you start talking
Yeah.
about that, and you just talk about like for the per diems for the United States. Because in Israel, what happens is that if you're traveling to the US or England or something, they will give you your money up front. So if we get 15, 25, what's that, 40, 50 plus 50, they'll give you the $90 per day up front.
Okay.
So, but for us, we have to like, we don't just get the money, we have to spend the money
Yep.
first. So we could say like something about, if you're in Israel, you'll get your per diem up front. But if you're in the United States, like, remember that you only have $15 for breakfast, 25 for lunch, and
50 for
50
dinner.
for dinner.
Got it.
I'm not sure what the per diems are for APAC.
Me neither.
And-
I think it's so small that I don't think it matters. Not to, like, I don't think that they've actually.
You think
ironed it
like they're
out.
pretty much the same as for us?
Yeah. Well, no, I just think that because it's like in APAC, mostly in Asia, like you can get a whole meal for $5. So I don't know if it's this like you know what I mean? I don't know if it's as important there as it is here. All right, so I'm gonna do it. I think something just with this account.